Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Over Easy. My name is Manny, in case you are new here, or welcome back. Let's jump right in. I always start my podcast episodes with a rose, bud, and thorn, just to check in and see how I'm doing. I love this. I love doing check-ins. I've loved check-ins ever since high school. I don't know. I feel like ever since high school, I had a drama teacher for my advisor or homeroom teacher, and she would always encourage us to do check-ins, and I just absolutely loved them because I just love hearing how people are doing. The mundane parts of people's lives are always just my favorite. So I've always thought check-ins were super important ever since I was high school or younger, honestly. But let's get started. Honestly, I don't even know, to be honest, what any of it is today. Let me think. My rose, what is something good? Oh, my rose is that I have genuinely just been so happy with my relationship recently. For the last couple weeks, honestly, maybe month or so. It's not that it was bad before, but just more recently, it's been extremely good. And I think it's just really healthy. And my boyfriend and I have been just in a good spot in both life and in our relationship. And I think it's definitely intertwined. When we're both in good parts of our life, our relationship definitely is better. But yeah, yesterday I was hanging out with him and I just honestly, just out of nowhere, I was I just really like our relationship. And I think it's improved quite a bit since we started dating and everything like that. And it just makes me really grateful to have him in my life and have such a supportive person and just a rock with everything. Even with all this change coming up in my life, knowing that at least he's going to be there is really comforting and reassuring. And I've just been really happy with our relationship. I think we've also gotten a lot more healthy, in terms of just interdependence, independence, hanging out with each other and communicating what we need, just everything like that. And I'm very happy with it. So yeah, yesterday we went to this barbecue place and it was so delicious. It was a lot of food. It was a huge barbecue platter with ribs and chicken and pulled pork, and there was cornbread and coleslaw and yam fries and baked beans, just so much food, but it was absolutely delicious. And yeah, that's my rose for today. Definitely a good rose. Very, very happy. My bud is that I am looking forward to my birthday. As of the day that I'm recording this, there's 1 week until my birthday. And I don't really know what I'm doing quite yet still, but I'm just excited because I'm excited to be 22 for sure. My thorn is that it's coming up to the end of the semester, and I have so many due dates, or actually I have so many projects all on the same due date. It's the Monday after my birthday, April 4th. I have I think all of my courses have at least 1 or 2 things that are due. And that is very overwhelming for me, especially because I don't want to do any work. Actually, I am going to do work on my birthday, but I don't want to do much, okay? I want to actually celebrate and stuff. But I'm slowly chipping through it and getting through all the assignments and stuff, working on it little by little every single day. So I'm going to get through it, but it's just kind of overwhelming to think about the fact that I have so many things due that day. And then right after that, it's going to be studying for finals. So not a good time coming up, I think, but that's okay. It's literally after my birthday, I'm going to get destroyed by all the work that I have to do. So that's great. Super fun. That's my rose, bud, and thorn for today. And today I kind of just want to keep it simple. And I kind of timed this episode perfectly with also another video that's coming out on my main YouTube channel. And that is talking about what I am doing after I'm graduating, because I think I've hinted at this quite a bit. And if you pay attention enough, you'll have figured it out. But I haven't really said what I'm doing after graduation. It's been a big thing that I've been trying to figure out for the last few months and stuff. And I kind of want to talk about it today, how I led to my decision and what I'm planning to do, obviously. So I kind of want to talk about the context of, I guess, going to university for me and how I ended up where I am right now, because in grade 12, that is when you're doing all your university applications, at least for my school, because my high school really prioritized everyone going to university after high school. So it was like the norm, like basically everyone went to university. If you didn't, it was like kind of odd, like you were the odd one out. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to do in university, where I wanted to go, I genuinely had no idea. At the time, I was very obsessed with film and film class and all that stuff, and I thought I wanted to go to film school. But then part of me also knew that I loved working with kids, and then I also like always had a dream of being a teacher and all this stuff. So I was very lost in high school, and my university applications kind of reflected that. I actually did a story of what universities I applied to, how I got to university, all this kind of stuff on my channel, so I can link it if you want to watch. It's quite old, but reflects what my entire story with applications and stuff. So I was quite lost in grade 12, and to be honest, I actually didn't even know if I wanted to go to university. For the longest time, I toyed with the idea of taking a gap year before going to university, because I genuinely just had no idea what I wanted to do, and I thought that, you know, taking a gap year might be beneficial for me in terms of like trying to figure it out and just like not be a student. But obviously, because I was only 17 at the time, I didn't have, first of all, much money to work with. You know, I was still living at home with my parents, and I never had a job or anything like that. And then also, I just wasn't old enough, really. I mean, for Asian parents, I think the norm is that like you're a baby until you're like married, essentially. I think a lot of Asian parents think that way. And even if you're like 26, a lot of Asian parents will still like treat you like you're 12, and in terms of like discipline and boundaries and all this kind of stuff. So I wanted to take a gap year. That was something I thought about, but ultimately, like, my parents didn't want me to, and it was also not the norm. So I was kind of like, I don't even know where I'm going to start with this. So ended up going to university. I'm in university now, about to graduate. And the last 4 years, I've definitely learned a lot about myself. I really enjoy what I'm studying now, and I think ultimately going to university was the right choice for me, but it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, and even now I don't really even know, to be honest. But I study psychology and I minor in commerce, and those are genuinely two things that I really, really, really enjoy. Psychology is something I've always liked because I love learning about people, how they became who they are, and all this kind of stuff. And commerce, I think, because my parents own a business, I've always just been like in that facet of life and always interested in like how to run things, and I really do enjoy like administrative work and also understanding how things work, and I think business is a big part of that, obviously. So two things I really, really like, and yeah, that's kind of how I got to university. I am here now. I don't regret not taking a gap year. I definitely think about like what I would have done and like what that would have been like, but ultimately I do agree that like I didn't really have the financial backing and the independence to do that realistically. I think I would have probably wasted it and just not done much. But now I'm coming up on my university graduation in a couple months, which is really scary to think about. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do. So as I was coming up on fourth year, like last summer, I actually started looking into grad school programs because that was what I thought I wanted to do. I've always toyed with the idea. Okay, these are like the three main ideas that I've toyed with. I've toyed with being a teacher, just being like an elementary school teacher. And I've also toyed with like being in education policy of some sort, like, you know, figuring out how we make the education system better and all this kind of stuff. And then another part was like doing marketing for a big company or just like a company. Those are kind of like the three realistic things that I really thought about doing. And so because like 2 out of 3 of those require grad school or just more schooling further on, I was looking at grad schools last summer and looking at what I wanted to do. I also ended up adding counseling to my list, which is still something I would love to pursue, school counseling for kids. And just being a supportive person in that school environment, I think would be a great opportunity, or just a great thing that fits me really well. But yeah, so all these things really require extra schooling pretty much. And I think, like, honestly, a lot of things nowadays do. A bachelor's degree really doesn't mean much anymore. And it's really master's and PhD that really is important now. So I was looking at master's programs, and I'm quite interested in quite a few. I think last summer I was like really set on applying to grad schools. But the one thing that I knew was I didn't want to go to school right after. I was like, I'm definitely tired of this. I mean, like, when I graduated grade 12, I was already like, I should take a gap year because I'm kind of sick of school, and I didn't. So now that I was graduating university, I was like, I'm definitely taking a gap year and just waiting a year just to live and figure it out. And then I'll go back to school if I really want to. So I was looking at all these grad schools, but they would be for the year after, not for directly after my university graduation, because I was like, there is no way that I'm going back to school after literally, 16 years of school nonstop. I also think one big thing is that, like, it's such a waste, because I've literally not wasted, but just lived my life up until now in school, and I've never really figured out what my life is like outside of school. And that's something that's like really important to me. I've always been a person that like really doesn't take school that seriously. I do love school. I love learning. I love all this kind of stuff, but I've never been the type of person to like make school define me. And I know I remember like in high school all this time, like all my friends would get test scores back and they'd all be like super obsessed with it, and I'd just be like, okay. If it was bad, I'd be like, okay, do better next time. If it was good, I'd be like, wow, that's great. It was never something like I took to heart and like really, really cared about, just because, I don't know, I just don't think school is that important. There's so many different facets of your identity that I think are way more important than school. But that's just my personal opinion. I know not everyone has the same perspective. So I was looking into grad schools, and I was looking at it, and then I was kind of like, oh, if I apply for this year, I think because of COVID, not a lot of grad schools are taking the GRE anymore, which is the grad school entrance exam. So I was like, oh my God, maybe I should apply this year just so I don't have to take that GRE and all this kind of stuff. My original plan was to take a gap year and study for the GRE in that year, apply to grad schools, and then also do like YouTube because I knew I really liked it. But I was like, oh, this is kind of like a weird plan. I also feel like I'm only going to grad school just for the sake of it, and I don't even know what I want to do in grad school. Like, I don't know if the program that I choose would ultimately be what I want to pursue in my long-term career or whatever. It was just like a lot of bubbling thoughts all the time about grad school, and I was like, I don't really think that's the fit for me, and stuff like that. So that's kind of like summer up until the beginning of 2022. I was thinking that way. I was like always assuming that I would go to grad school a year after I graduate university and all this kind of stuff. And to supplement that, I actually this year applied for a research fellowship program in the States. I didn't really tell people because I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this for real. I applied to a research fellowship program, and I was like, if I get in, this is the sign that I should take academia seriously and continue pursuing like my master's and all this kind of stuff. Because the fellowship program was meant for people who had graduated their bachelor's and were aiming to do masters but needed something to do in between, or like wanted some experience in between. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fit for me. I've never tried research. I don't know if I would like it, and all this kind of stuff. But I feel like I'm talking so fast because my brain is going so fast right now. But I didn't get in. And then when I didn't get in, I was kind of like, what do I do now? I didn't even think I would get in. Honestly, I was like, if I get in, I'll think about going. If I don't get in, then I'll take it as a sign as I should think about something else. And I didn't get in. And I was like, maybe I should think about doing something else. What am I going to do now? And that was when I hit my low in February, early February, late January. I was very, very in a low, in a rut, didn't know what I wanted to do at all. And I was so lost. I knew that I didn't want to go back to school, and it was also too late for me to apply to go to grad schools now. I didn't feel like I was the most qualified either. I mean, like, I don't really have any profs that I could ask for recommendation letters and all this kind of stuff. My experience and all, I don't think I'm meant for grad school, but I don't know. This is just how I feel now. So definitely in a year or 2 or 3, I could feel differently. But as of right now, I don't feel like grad school is the way to go for me. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to school. Well, then what am I going to do? And I remember this one night I was like scrolling on Indeed, which is like a job searching website. And I was like, I am going to be unemployed after graduation. And that is probably the reality for a lot of recent graduates in these COVID years. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be an unemployed person and I don't know what job I'm going to get. I'm never going to get a job and I'm going to be homeless and live and not exist. So yeah, I'm a spiraler. So whenever there's a worst possible scenario, I always think of that first. Realistically, that's not really, I think I still have opportunities built for me right now. Obviously I can continue my math tutoring job and just work more, or my parents have a business, I could always work with them, but I've kind of stayed away from that because I don't really want to work with my parents. I think it'd be kind of weird and just like a little traumatizing, to be honest, but I don't tell them that. But anyways, then I remember this one day, I had brunch or breakfast with my friends Rebecca and Rachel, and they also go to UBC. We were just catching up because we hadn't seen each other. It was like, I think the first week of classes back, so we were like trying to see each other on campus again. And basically we were talking about like what to do after graduation. We're all graduating this year at least and trying to figure out what we want to do. And I remember the fact that between first and second year, that was when I was ultimately really lost with my degree. I was thinking about if I should drop out of university, take a semester off and trying to figure out what I want to do and all this kind of stuff. I was looking into being an English teacher abroad. That was something I really, really considered. Also, ultimately didn't happen because, I don't know, I wasn't very committed at the time. I was a very wishy-washy person, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do this, but maybe not. I was very easily swayed, for sure. But I remembered when I was having breakfast with them that was something I really, really wanted to do. And I was thinking about why don't I do that? Literally, there's nothing stopping me at this point. I don't have to go back to school. I have no other obligations ever. And I was like, why don't I do that? And I started looking into it. And I was really, really hyped about going. I was like, yeah, I could move to Vietnam. I could move to Korea, wherever, and just teach English for a little bit. I was like, oh, I'll spend the summer getting certified and prepping for that. And then when the new school year comes, this coming September, I will teach English abroad. And that's, I think, the move. And then I started thinking, and one thing led to another. And I was like, why do I need to start working right away? Realistically, I could just take a break for a bit and not work because I have built up a savings ever since I started working in first year. And it's just not the most pressing thing for me to work because I don't really know what I want to do. So then I I came to the idea of traveling because that is something that a lot of people do. And that is something that I want to do. And ultimately, that is what I'm doing. After graduation, I'm going to take a gap year or 2 or 3. I don't know. I haven't planned it out. And just travel for a bit. I'm in a very fortunate position where I don't have to worry about making ends meet right away. I have savings, like I said, and I can afford to use them. So yeah, after graduation, I am doing solo traveling abroad for at least until the end of this calendar year, until the end of 2022. And then next year we'll come back and figure it out again. So that's my plan for after graduation. And I kind of want to talk about what I hope to achieve as well as my actual plans because I'm pretty excited about them. I've talked about it a lot in podcasts and in my vlogs. So definitely going to talk about that. What I hope to achieve from this is actually quite simple, Actually, it's not quite simple. I feel like a big part of my life that I've been missing out on is applied suffering, which I've talked about before. I heard about it in a Mindset Mentor podcast. And basically the idea is that in life, you can educate yourself to the biggest degree now, especially with the internet, with podcasts, with videos. Everything is so readily accessible. So many people can learn as much as they want. You don't even have to go to college anymore, honestly. You could just study off of YouTube or these online services. But one big part of learning that you cannot get anywhere else is applied suffering, which is basically putting yourself in novel situations and putting yourself in these difficult situations so that you can learn to figure it out and solve problems on your own. And that was a big part of my life that I felt like I didn't have, because I've lived in the same city ever since I can remember. I know where everything is. I'm so familiar with Vancouver. Like, Vancouver is just so familiar and so safe to me. And relatively speaking, Vancouver is also quite a safe city compared to other cities in the world. Like, I've just been so comfortable here. I mean, on the weekends, I go to the same places. I know where everything is. You know, I have go-to restaurants that I know where everything is. I can drive places without maps like I could for the longest time. And I'm just like very, very comfortable in Vancouver, which is great. I mean, I love this city. I love Vancouver so much. But I was like, I can't live like this forever. Especially because I chose to stay in Vancouver for university. I've never really been able to go anywhere else. And so I was like, I really need this aspect of my life to happen. And that's ultimately what I hope to achieve when I'm traveling. I want to put myself in these situations where I'm uncomfortable. I want to make myself cry because I'm new and I don't know how to navigate these things. I want to figure out how to navigate places without a phone, without constant data, without this information constantly with me, and just like figure out how to live on my own for real. I think that's just like such an important part of life that everyone should have, but especially me, because I've grown up in the same city and with such familiarity my entire life. One part of this is actually my boyfriend. When we started dating, he pointed this out to me a number of times, was that like, you know, in life I've been very comfortable. You know, I went to a private school. I've never had to worry about when my next meal would happen, like if the roof over my head was ever jeopardized, all this kind of stuff that like a lot of people have to deal with. And I think because of that, I've missed out on a lot of growth. And I'm not saying that like, obviously not being able to afford food or your like rent is a good thing. I think there's a lot of systemic problems with that. But I think also putting yourself through these struggles, or just having these struggles in life, shape you into a really like strong person and a resilient person. And yeah, I've never had to deal with that. So that's like the biggest thing that I want to do, is learn, just like live for once and not have everything figured out and just be challenged, I think is a very big part. So that's kind of my main goal. My other main goal is that I want to explore, obviously, the world. I've always been very interested in how living in different places shapes who you are. I mean, I think that's just part of my like psychology interest, is that like I'm very interested in how people become who they are. And a big part of that is where you live. So definitely want to explore more of those places. And I think also one other thing is that like when I was in high school and stuff and I would travel with my family, my parents would always choose to do like those tours where, I don't know if anyone else relates, but they're like those Asian tours where they make you wake up at the crack of dawn and we go to like 17 places in one day. But realistically, you only have like 10 seconds to visit like the Eiffel Tower, take a picture, and then you have to get back on the tour bus. I always traveled like that when I was little, and I never really got to experience like daily life or the actual experience of being in that city. So that is something I really want to achieve as well. Yeah, so those are my main goals, and I think that will also help shape me into a much like more independent and mature person that I think will transition me into my next phase of life. Yeah, that's kind of my goal. So let's talk about my plan, my travel plan, because I've been thinking about this for the last month and a half-ish now, and I've laid out a little bit. I've laid out some foundations at least. So my main goal was to take a solo trip somewhere far away, and my boyfriend and I have always talked about going to Japan together. Japan is such an amazing place. There's so much culture, and just also like I think we're very interested in going to Japan because we've lived in Vancouver, and obviously Vancouver has a lot of good Japanese food. And we were like, yeah, like I think Japan would be the move. And I was like, yeah, I think Japan would be the move. for real. And my goal at the end of this year is to go to Japan from September to December that's 3 months, taking up 4 months of the year, but it's 3 months staying there. But as of right now, Japan has a travel ban on pretty much every single country in the entire world, so no one can go. So depending on what happens a little later in the year, if they open up, I might go to a different country. I was toying with South Korea. And so my plan is September to December, I'm going to be long-term away from Vancouver. I think somewhere far away for sure. I want to be in Asia because I don't really want to be in a place where they speak English. I think that's the goal, is that I need to challenge myself with that. It's definitely scary, and I've wanted to chicken out so many times, and I still do, but I know that this is probably what's best for me. And so when I was thinking about taking that long trip, I was like, I don't think that should be my first trip abroad by myself, because I feel like there are some logistical things that I need to work out before I go so far away, and in case anything happens, like something major, like I don't want that to be my first experience. So then I was like, maybe I should take a closer solo trip first in the summer before I go to wherever I go in September. And so then I was toying for the longest time with that. I was like, maybe I should go to Yellowstone. I mean, I've been there before, but not for a long time. And I love nature. I love going to outdoorsy places. But then I was like, that's kind of like, I don't know, not the best move. And then I thought about it. I was like, I definitely want to go to the States somewhere, because there are so many places in the United States I haven't traveled before. And also it's close enough to home that if anything happens, I don't know, I can figure it out. They speak English there. I might have data if I get a new phone plan. It's just like a little bit safer, in my opinion. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should go to somewhere I've been before. Like San Francisco is somewhere I've always wanted to go again. I didn't really get to go for a long time. Maybe New York or something like that. But I was like, I've already been to these places. Like I want to go somewhere new. And then I remembered that I have a fascination with Texas. And I can't really explain why. I've just always wanted to go to Texas. Every time, like in the beginning of our relationship, I remember with my boyfriend, we would think about where we want to move long term. I was like, maybe we should move to Texas. Like, it seems like a cool place. And I can't explain why. I genuinely can't. And when I'm trying to tell my friends, they're like, why do you want to go there? I'm like, I don't really know. I just think it's really interesting. So yeah, Texas has always fascinated me for the longest time. And then I was like, I think I'm going to go to Texas. Like, literally, why not? There are some major cities in Texas that I think would be great for me to explore alone and just have fun with. And I think also one reason that I'm so fascinated with it is because I have such a stereotype of it, and I don't really like that. Obviously, you know, when you hear Texas, you think of cowboys and barbecue, but I really want to know what it's like. So I am going to Austin, Texas in the summer for my first solo trip, and I'm so excited. I've been planning it out, and I think it'll be so much fun. Yeah. I'm going to lay out like the monthly in order, what I'm going to be doing every month from now on, just to let you know, just going to lay it out. But I'm going to Austin, Texas. I've already booked my plane tickets as well as my accommodation, so I can't back out. But I could, because like I bought the thing where you can refund the trip. But like realistically, I can't back out now. I'm going to Austin, Texas for 13 days, 12 nights. So excited. And then another thing, in February, I was seeing my friends, Cheris, Rachel, and Angela. Angela and Cheris go to universities in Ontario. And so we were seeing each other during reading week, just, you know, as like a final thing. And then I was kind of like, why don't we all go to each other's graduations? We're all graduating university this year. 3 of us are graduating in April. So I was like, oh my God, what if we go to each other's graduations and then I get to go to Toronto because I never really go. And then we were literally like, yeah, let's do it. And at the time we were kind of like, we didn't really know when our graduation ceremonies were and all this kind of stuff. So we were kind of still like just talking about it. But realistically, I think I will be going to Toronto in June just to visit some friends after their graduations and just to like be in Toronto. I realized that I've never actually really traveled to Toronto on my own and also like just to travel. I've been there before when I was like a baby, but obviously I don't really remember that. And I've also been there for school trips, but I didn't get to do any traveling or like stuff on my own. Obviously you have to do the school stuff. So yeah, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to go to Toronto, and that will be near the end of June. I don't really know yet. I haven't booked that trip, so that might not happen, but I really hope it does. I think I would definitely go for at least like a few days. There's just some like date conflicts right now that I have to figure out. So that's stopping me from booking my tickets. But otherwise, I would have booked them a long time ago. And then my last travel plan, I'm kind of going backwards right now, is my friend Angela and I are going to take a trip in May because, you know, after April, realistically, I don't really have anything to do. I have to teach dance though until the end of June. So that's why I'm staying in Vancouver for the next 2 months after. But during the weekdays, I don't really have anything to do. So going on a trip. So let's relay my full year plan for until the end of 2022. Obviously, this isn't all set in stone. Things can change, but this is what I think about on a daily basis nowadays. So today is March 26th. Obviously, until the end of April, I have final exams and finishing up school. My last final exam is on April 26th. So really, it's until the end of the year. Then in May and June, I will still be in Vancouver full time most of the time. And working. I hope to make like lots of YouTube videos, just like living life, because genuinely haven't really done that before. In May, I'm going to the island, Vancouver Island, for a trip with Angela for a couple days. And then in June, like I said, I'm going to go to Toronto. Otherwise, if I'm here, I'm just going to be making YouTube videos, still going to be working just a little bit so that I have money and living. I'm just so excited to live for the rest of this year, like honestly. Then in July, that is when I'm going to Austin, Texas. I'm going for 2 weeks, like I said. Very, very, very excited about that. And then in August, that's going to be my last full-time month in Vancouver. I haven't planned anything in August, and I think I'm just going to be in Vancouver / surrounding Vancouver areas. Obviously, I might go camping and all this kind of stuff, but I'm still going to be like in BC. Then in September until the end of 2022, I literally hope to come back like the week before Christmas. So September, I think I want to leave at the beginning of September and then come back at the end of the year. I'm going to go to either Japan or South Korea. I don't know yet. It really depends on travel bans. So I really have to look into that and just like kind of wait, which is kind of annoying. But yeah. That's my plan for the end of the year. Then in 2023, my alternative plans after I was thinking about it, if I need money, I can't talk. If I need money and I still want to keep traveling, I think I'm going to do the teach English abroad thing. Then I can work and travel and make money. If not, honestly, I might just come back to Vancouver, decide I want to go back to school because I'm done with the traveling, and then just live life. I don't really know. Also, throughout this whole thing until the end of the year, obviously I'm going to be making a lot of travel vlogs, which I'm literally so excited about, and just like content. And I think it'll be so much fun. Yeah, because one thing that I've always like told myself is that like I really want to try and take YouTube seriously for once and like truly devote time to doing it full time. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't. At least I know that I've tried. And if it does work out and I can make enough money off of it to continue traveling, then like, oh, that'll be hella good. Yeah, and I think I'm just going to learn a lot, share it on the vlogs, obviously, share what I'm doing and while I'm traveling on the vlogs. I think it'll be so much fun, and I'm very, very excited for after I graduate. So yeah, that is my plan for after graduation. I'm really excited. I think one of the most empowering things that I've learned, even just from this planning process, is that I am in charge of my life. For the longest time, I felt so out of control of my life because I was like, oh, I have school and oh, I have this and that I committed to and all this stuff. But realistically, everything in your life, almost everything in your life is a choice. And you have to think about, what if I just didn't make that choice? And what if I made another? Even if it's not socially normal, who cares? Honestly, I feel like nowadays a gap year is so common. Most of my friends that are graduating this semester in April, I know, are taking gap years and just living life to figure out what they want to do. I think COVID has really taught us that there are so many more things to life than just work and working 40 years in your life just to retire at the end of it. And like, why don't I live now? Why do I have to wait until I retire to live? You know? Anyways, that's kind of my plan. Hope you're as excited as I am. I'm so excited to make travel vlogs and just like more vlogs and content and everything. I'm just very excited about all of it. I've just been like planning my vlogs and my content for the next like months, and I'm so excited. Like for once, it's not even April yet, and I have all of my April videos figured out. And in May is definitely a little more tentative, but I've been planning out my travel schedule and my travel vlog schedule. I'm just like so excited about it. I can't even contain myself. I'm very, very, very excited. And the more I look into planning my Austin trip, I've been doing it every single day after I finish studying. I do a little bit of planning every single day. I look into more and more, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for all of this because there's so much in that city. And I'm so excited to just live. I cannot even explain how excited I am. I think you can hear it. Oh, okay. I'm going to calm down. That is going to be it for today. I am so excited for my next chapter of life. And after hearing this, I hope you're excited too. Thank you if you've ever supported me in my podcast, in my YouTube videos, like literally anything. This is honestly one of my favorite things to do in life is make my podcast and make YouTube videos. So genuinely just thank you. And I'm so excited for the next chapter, and I hope you are too. It'll be so much fun. And I will see you in my next episode. Okay, bye.
And I was like, yo.